Hi, I hope everyone had a great week. We reached a huge milestone in New York last week, effective Friday. So I wanted to give you an immediate update as to what that looks like for New York. Because as of Friday, New York entered phase two of reopening. I'm going to read a few things from the New York website, which New York Forward, which we've included the link for, in regards to the breakdown of what the phase two means for reopening in New York. And then I'll touch specifically on what that looks like for real estate and what best practices and restrictions are lifted and in place and how that looks for our business as a whole. So, in regards to reopening in general, in phase two, there are still a lot of businesses, a lot of large gathering type settings that are not able to reopen. And in the link we provided, it'll lay out what is still closed. But I will read off what phase two means for reopening in regards to what is opening. So, hair salons and barbershops, commercial building management, retail, rental, repair, and cleaning, vehicle sales, leases, and rentals, essential and phase two in-store retail, offices, some administration, and real estate. So those are what are permitted to reopen within the guidelines, the CDC and New York Forward guidelines, and we'll talk about what that means for real estate. So for real estate specifically, we are still needing to and pursuing and making sure we accommodate proper PPE and disinfecting and cleaning processes when it comes to all appointments. That being said, we are able to now conduct, and I'm reading it from the website so that you understand and know the verbiage, in-person showings while adhering to social distancing and required PPE safety guidelines. The following measures during in-person showings must be followed. Showings and open houses will only be allowed in unoccupied, meaning the current owner or leasee is not inside the property, or vacant properties. For all showings and open houses, we should limit the number of individuals viewing the property at any one time, which is why it has to be unoccupied without that owner or that leasee there. If multiple parties from different households arrive for a showing, so if you're there with a whole family or you've brought your kids, we would encourage those to wait in line outside until their turn with your kids. Accommodate waiting outside with them, try to limit exposure in that capacity. Or you have a family member, a brother or sister or parent, we really encourage waiting outside with the rest of those family members before entering in and taking turns going through the property so that we're limiting the amount of people through. Also, individuals such as appraisers, inspectors visiting the property will be required to wear a face covering at all times, and they may choose to require gloves or shoe covers to be worn. So although those aren't required, they may be if somebody in the party, for example, the real estate agent or the owner, requests that they be worn. Also, we are permitted to only touch essential surfaces such as handrails, stairs during the time in the property. Other surfaces such as cabinets, countertops, appliances should not be touched by tenants or buyers. Finally, responsible parties must ensure that everyone in the way of agents and inspectors and appraisers, so professionally, we will be cleaning and disinfecting following those showings. Especially areas such as handrails and knobs that have been touched before and after the showing. And lastly, showings should be staggered so that there is no congregation of people outside or inside the property. So that's pretty typical as it is and what we like to encourage right now. That being said, the only other piece that I do want to point out is that open houses must only allow one party inside the property at a time. So those are the two main changes when it comes to real estate. There are some other ones that we talked about in terms of that disinfecting process, the PPE and what is required. And I'm just reviewing, like I said, the final pieces of it in the way of walkthroughs and drive-by appraisals. Those are still encouraged to be done virtually or externally for the drive-by appraisals, and the final walkthroughs are still recommended to be done via a virtual tour if possible. So anything that can be done virtually, they are asking we still do virtually. We are encouraging all of our clients to first, before seeing a property, still limit the amount of properties that you really need to see in the way of pre-qualifying them well beforehand. So there have been a lot of things through this process that, although it's been frustrating and hard and demoralizing at times and just heartbreaking at other times, some good things have come out in the way of real estate best practices, buyers, sellers, what we've learned, some good new habits that we've gotten into just to make both the buyers and the sellers' lives better and to make the whole process a lot more respectful and simpler. So for example, before seeing a property, making sure that you're doing a drive-by, you're looking at aerial photos, and you're looking at the virtual tour. If all of those things check out, like we said in the beginning when we started this, then we can talk about what that next step would be. But doing those things first is so important, saving on their time and other people's, and just making sure that we're respectful of all parties in the process. So those are the main changes that have taken place with phase 2. We are looking forward to talking with you more about what that means and what that looks like for you specifically. If you are thinking about buying or selling or investing right now, please reach out to us, because with all of these changes in place, like I've said before, we have a bunch of new systems, a bunch of new best practices that can absolutely help you regardless of where you're at in the process, even if it's just in a question that you have about your property or one that's on the market. So I hope everyone's had a great weekend, and I hope you all have a great week. We're excited to be moving forward with you, but please stay safe and healthy in the process. We'll talk to you soon.